I feel like I have exhausted my limited vocabulary. Hi, welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. Today I'm going to be going over a new foundation and concealer, or at least new to me. So if you're not familiar with the AOA brand or Shop Miss A, it's this website where they have really affordable makeup, just a whole variety, and their in-house brand is AOA or AOA Studios. I've tried out several of their foundations and a lot of their other products, and they are so good for how cheap they are. Like, I don't think I've ever purchased an item from them that was more than $5. Most of them are way below that. I recently tried out another foundation and concealer by them, and I liked both pretty well, aside from them not being the greatest shade match. But I actually purchased another that I want to do a review on. So the foundation that I'm testing out is the Dewy Blend Foundation by AOA Studio, and I have it in shade L2. L2 was not a good shade match for the other foundation, so it might be the same situation here. And it's only $1.88 on their website, and you get 1 fluid ounce. Now the one rub is that they don't have the greatest shade range. And then I also have the AOA Studio Flawless Liquid Concealer. This is also an L2, so we'll see how these end up looking. The concealer is also $1.88, so together they are less than $5. I did already do my skincare, moisturizer, SPF, and then I applied a primer. I used the Lacura Illuminating Primer. Lacura is actually the Aldi brand makeup, Aldi like the grocery store, but I really like a lot of their things. And my skin is a bit on the drier side right now. I am a couple months into Accutane, so I normally have oily skin, but right now it is a little bit drier. Foundation says it's a weightless feel, long wearing, and hydrating. So I could definitely use hydrating right about now. All right, so I am gonna be testing these out with a brush today, but I'm going to continue trying these products out over the next couple of days to see if they perform better without primer, with a sponge, etc. Okay, it does look like it'll be maybe a little bit dark for me. I'm just gonna take a flat top foundation brush. I do have a whole playlist of foundations that I have tried out in videos and given reviews. I also have several videos testing out different AOA makeup. I really like their stuff, so if you want to look into those, you're more than welcome. Okay. It does feel very light on the skin, so that is true. It's definitely not covering a lot of my acne. I do have some like redness and acne over here that it is definitely not covering. On the website, it does say it provides medium to full coverage. I feel like I'm definitely not getting medium, at least on this side with all of the redness and acne that I have going on. This side does look more medium, but that's just because I have less to cover on that side. It doesn't claim to be buildable, but I'm gonna see if I can build this up to try and get it to be more medium full coverage. So far, I'm also not loving the way it looks on my skin, which is definitely disappointing because I feel like I just talked up the AOA brand and all of their foundations. You can see it looking makeup-y, especially up here on my forehead. It's just kind of like settling in my skin and like making it look a little dry. It actually doesn't seem that dewy of a foundation. I feel like the one I tested out prior was a lot more dewy. Okay, I feel like that did build it up to a little bit more, but it's certainly not full. I can still see lots of redness coming through, acne very much still coming through. Not loving it so far. I think it looks good from afar, like as I'm looking in the mirror down here, but up close, I hope the camera's picking it up, but I feel like especially in my forehead, it's just looking a little makeup-y, cakey, dry. I'm gonna try this foundation out different ways. So maybe this is just not the great combo for it. Like maybe it's not a good primer, or maybe it's just not fit for a brush like this. Maybe it's better with a sponge. So I'm not gonna completely discount it quite yet. A brush is how I tend to prefer applying foundation, but I am going to use the concealer, which is a Doe Foot concealer. So on the website for this concealer, it says it is blendable, moisturizing, weightless, anti-crease, and it can be used for spot treating as well as under eyes. And they also do say, word for word, it's perfect for drier areas of your face. So that is perfect for me right now. I do have lines underneath my eyes, so creasing is kind of normal for me. I think every concealer I own creases a little bit because I have creases there, but We'll see how this looks. Some definitely emphasize the lines and make it look horrid. This concealer seems to have a bit of a yellow undertone, which is not fit for my skin, so I'll try to take into account while reviewing this. Okay, under eye coverage is not bad. I think there's still some darkness coming through, but I'm not unhappy with it. Even though this says it can be used to spot treat, since I already have 2 layers of the foundation, I feel like it's only gonna look cakier if I add more, so I will try using it as a spot treatment another day. Today it's just gonna be underneath the eyes, and I think it looks pretty decent. It doesn't look super dry. It doesn't seem to be creasing excessively right now. I think it looks a tad makeup-y underneath my eyes, but that could also be just like the foundation mixing in. And this is something also, maybe it's just much better fit for a sponge. With the second layer of the foundation, it is looking a lot dewier now, I think. Let's see, it's not gonna be on for that long of a period today because it's later in the day that I was able to film this, but I'll still do check-ins throughout the day to show you how it is performing, how it is aging on my face. And the other days I will have longer wear tests, so you can see how long wearing this truly is. I'm also not going anywhere today, so I don't want to add a ton of makeup on. So I'm just gonna add like some mascara and brow gel and setting spray and call it a day. So I will check in a few hours to show you how it's looking. Okay, different lighting. 3 hours in. It is looking like there is some creasing going on with the foundation. Just a little bit, like right there where like you get the 11s. Concealer seems to be looking okay so far. A little bit has come off here, but you know, I saw it there. Otherwise, not looking too bad. I feel like this maybe, the redness is coming through more than it was earlier. I mean, it has only been 3 hours, but it seems to be looking okay so far. I'm more impressed by the concealer because it seems like there's not a lot of settling in my lines. You can see the lines obviously, but like it doesn't look like it's super creasing. Okay, so it's been on for about 7 hours. I do feel like the coverage has weakened a little bit. You can also tell it's coming through on this side. I did fall asleep on this side, so some of it may have rubbed off. So it is looking a little dry and makeup-y around here. And I feel like I'm also getting some creasing with the concealer. It doesn't look great, but it doesn't look horrible. I think this is one I'll just have to give a few more days of testing to see if it's worth it. Okay, I just have natural light right now, but I applied the foundation and the concealer underneath my eyes with a sponge. I also used the same primer. I think it definitely looks better on the skin today with the sponge, but it is definitely getting less coverage. A lot of the redness still coming through, and while it looks like not a bad texture underneath my eyes, there is definitely a lot more darkness coming through. I am going to try and spot treat with the concealer today. Okay, the concealer added a little bit of coverage, but not a ton. Helped cover it a little bit, but I did blend it out with a sponge, so I could probably get higher coverage with a brush. I also added some more concealer because it was just looking too dark. So we'll see how this wears throughout the day. I am going to be having it on for a lot longer, so we'll see how long lasting it really is. Okay, so it has been on for 10 to 11 hours. It's not looking great. Like, it doesn't look that bad, but I did lose some coverage, and it is looking kind of dry in some areas, especially around like where I do have some acne going on right now. I feel like it looks a little bit more makeup-y throughout the day, like up my forehead, and just where my acne is, I feel like it looks pretty dry, which this is supposed to be very dewy. It's supposed to be, you know, dewy, good for dry skin. I feel like it's looking okay on camera, but in person it just looks kind of meh. Like, it doesn't look horrible, but it doesn't look great. I mean, it has been on for like 10 to 11 hours, but tomorrow I think I will try it without a primer, and I am exfoliating tonight, so we'll see if that makes a difference as well. Okay, today I applied it with a brush. I didn't use any kind of primer, and I did exfoliate last night as well as like shave the peach fuzz off of my face, and I think it looks a lot better on my skin today. I would say still about same level of coverage, just some of this redness has gone down a bit. It is still creasing, like right here you can tell it's creased a little bit. Under eyes, I don't know, they're looking really dark. I feel like I put on more today to try and accommodate for how dark my under eyes were looking, but even with that, I feel like they're looking actually pretty bad. Like the creasing isn't really an issue, but like when you zoom out, I feel like you can definitely tell that my eyes look really dark and tired. Which, yes, I did not get as much sleep as I should have last night, but that is why I wear makeup. It has been on for 4 to 5 hours right now. I do think part of the issue with how it looked before was rectified by removing the peach fuzz from my face, but I do have other foundations that look fine if I don't do that. I will do another update at the end of the day, but I was thinking of tomorrow doing it again without primer, because primer doesn't seem to be really making a difference as far as longevity or appearance. But I was also planning on setting it with powder, which, yes, does kind of nullify the dewiness of the foundation, but I want to see if I can get this foundation to stay and look good all day. Okay, the foundation has been on for about 10 and a half hours at this point. It's not looking too bad. I think both the primer may have just not been a good fit for this foundation, as well as the peach fuzz on my face was definitely adding to the cakiness, because it definitely looks a lot better. Like you can tell, it is a little creased on my forehead. Not too bad. I mean, it started off as medium coverage to begin with, and I feel like it has actually stayed quite decently today. On my acne, it has kind of worn off. Everywhere else, it seems pretty fine. Especially for 10 hours of wear, this is not bad. The other 2 days, it didn't seem to last as well. And today, I didn't do any like strenuous activity. I wasn't like running, sweating it off, but it still seems like it lasted decently well for how long of a period. Okay, so I'm just using natural light right now. I'm right in front of the window. But I applied the foundation and concealer using a brush today, about medium coverage. A lot of my redness has gone down, so that has helped. But I also put a light powder, a setting powder on top. I didn't use a primer either, and maybe it's just this powder, maybe it's the mixture of the powder with the foundation, or maybe it's just the foundation, who knows, but it was definitely not a good idea. The powder is not the go. It's been on for a little over an hour, and like you can already see lots of creasing. Like right there, that's really bad. And underneath my eyes, it looks really, really creasy with the powder on top. We'll see if it helps it last throughout the day. If it's creasing but it lasts longer, that's one thing. But if it creases and then it also doesn't last throughout the day, then, you know, why? I am going to try to like blend out these creases with a brush and see if I can get it to look more presentable, and then do the rest of my makeup. Okay, so I have some final thoughts on this AOA Dewy Blend Concealer and the Flawless Concealer. I know that in the last clip I did not do a follow-up at the end of the night to see how the powder did on top of the foundation. To be honest, I ended the night stress crying, so there was just mascara running down my face, so doing a foundation update didn't really matter at that point. It was just all ruined. I looked a mess. We're okay now. But I did want to say the powder it made a little bit of difference for the longevity of the foundation, but it didn't make a huge difference. And I think I stated earlier in that video that it did just kind of, since you're putting more makeup on top of the foundation, make it look a little bit more makeup-y, just naturally what happens. I did not like the powder with the concealer. It could have very well just been that powder. I've used that powder with other concealers and it's been okay, but things just didn't mix well and there was a lot of creasing. So I'll touch more on this later, but for the concealer, I would just wear it without powder. My overall thoughts on this foundation is, on the skin, it is a little bit cakey. As far as a dewy blend foundation goes, I was expecting it to look much more skin-like and smooth on the skin. It did look better once I removed the peach fuzz off of my face, but I don't think that should be something that is necessary, because I do have other foundations that, even with my peach fuzz, look okay on the skin and not too cakey. It's not horrible by any means, so I don't want you to be discouraged about this foundation just looking terrible, because it didn't look bad. It's just like when you look in the mirror yourself and you start examining it, you see that it doesn't look flawless, like it doesn't look smooth like skin like some other dewy foundations can. The coverage, the max I could get was medium. I do have redness and acne that I am dealing with, so if you don't, it could look like more full coverage on you, but if you do have a lot to cover, I don't think that you could get this up to full. And when I try and build it up to reach full, it seems like I get very little extra coverage, but I make it look more makeup-y on my skin. So it doesn't seem like it has a good payoff for building it up. It does crease a bit. It's not terrible, but as I showed like every single day, I do this a lot when I'm stressed or even when I'm just like working, I'm like always doing that. So I get creasing there, and it seemed to crease pretty easily and stay creased even like when you try to like buff it out with your finger. So that is something that I note, that even after it is set, it still does crease a little bit and make it look a little bit more makeup-y once you do that, because then you can see the difference between the skin and the skin with makeup on it. I have had foundations that creased a lot worse, so I will say that. On the bottle it does say it has a weightless feel, which I would agree with. I feel like I don't really feel it on my skin, so it feels fine. As far as the long wearing claim, I'm gonna have to go ahead and disagree with that. I feel like it didn't last that great throughout the day. I lost coverage, especially on like my acne or the red areas. I feel like those really started popping through more throughout the day with the foundation. It seems like the coverage just kind of diminished throughout the day, making it not so long wearing. Now, all of this in context, this was $1.88 for a 1 fluence ounce bottle. So I do want to keep that in mind, that this is not like even a normal drugstore price or a high-end foundation price that I am reviewing. For the money that I spent on this, it is still a really good foundation. Like, I want to keep that in mind because I don't want to judge it the same as like a $40 foundation, because I feel like this definitely performs the same or better than a lot of foundations that you could spend a lot more on. And 1 fluid ounce is pretty standard, so it's not like you're only getting like a third of the amount that you would normally. That being said, if this was a normal drugstore foundation price, like $10 to $12, I don't think I would purchase this with what I know about it now. I think for the price, it's definitely good, but I don't know if I would purchase this again, number one, but two, spend the amount of money that I might spend on another foundation at Ulta. I think if this foundation was like $10 or more, I would be kind of disappointed, pretty disappointed, and I might consider returning it. Not that $10 is even expensive for a foundation, especially nowadays, but just for the longevity or lack thereof, I don't think I could recommend this foundation if it was a normal price. But it's not. It's only $1.88, which, since it's much more affordable, it's much more worth the risk, because if you don't like it, if it only works in certain ways, certain skin tones, whatever, it's only $2 about. So for this one, it's not bad for what it is. I want to put that out there, but it's not my favorite of the options you can get for around $2 on the same site. Now, for the concealer, I don't think it has enough coverage for me. I don't know if this is just because I look at myself too long, but I feel like I have a lot of darkness underneath my eyes that I need to cover. So I feel like this offered too light of coverage for me. Even after applying it, trying a second layer to build it up, I felt like I still saw a lot of the darkness coming through and felt like my eyes just looked still very tired. If you like light coverage because you don't have under eye bags or darkness, or that's just what you prefer, I think this would be a better option for you because the finish is decent. It didn't crease very much. It didn't look super cakey underneath my eyes, and it seemed to last a decent while. I'd say it maybe lasted longer than the foundation did on my face. It's not the longest lasting one I have, but I feel like it's pretty good for, again, the price, and 0.67 ounce for, I think this was also $1.88. That is such a good deal, especially with drugstore prices getting exponentially more expensive. Finding something that is so affordable and decent, I think it's worth a try. Now, I did not like it with the powder, as I mentioned. It didn't have a ton of coverage to it. I feel like it looks best without powder. It doesn't look cakey as is, so I feel like adding powder does make it look a little bit cakier, and I did have more creasing with the powder in this than if I just wore this. So like today, I am just wearing the concealer. Both of these items are not bad. For all of the reasons and caveats I gave, I'd say I could still recommend these for some people. I feel like I have exhausted my limited vocabulary, So I am going to end this video here. Let me know if you have any questions. Subscribe to my channel if you want to see more videos like this. I would appreciate if you could give this video a like. Let me know in the comments if there's anything you want to see from me. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for your support, and I will hopefully see you in my next video.